Today on Judge Faith. Every morning, she'd look out her kitchen window and see green. So what did he do to make her see red?
Mr. Brown came out and cut my bushes like he was Edward Scissorhands.
I came downstairs and Miss Armstrong was standing at the door. She said, "You had the audacity to cut down my bush."
Now it's up to Judge Faith to bring the peace back to their paradise.
Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it.
And later, Judge Faith decides which pooch must pay.
The ambulance came, the animal control came, police came, and one of the neighbors goes, "I know whose dog this is."
In taking out the trash, I inadvertently left the door open.
No, don't tell me no. It's never happened before. It happened this time, and it's one time too many.
Plaintiff Priscilla Armstrong says her friend and neighbor of 30 years did a hack job on her hedge without her consent. She is suing for destroying her hedge and emotional damages. Defendant Amos Brown says he's been trimming the hedges for 30 years and she's never had a problem with the work. He's countersuing for unpaid landscaping work.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this case is Armstrong versus Brown.
Thank you, Barbara. Ms. Armstrong, you're here suing your neighbor for $2,500 for damaging your hedges and for emotional damage. Mr. Brown, you say you don't owe the plaintiff anything because you already replaced the bushes that you cut down, and you're also countersuing for $3,274 for unpaid landscaping work. Okay, Ms. Armstrong, I'll hear from you first. What's going on here?
Your Honor, it pains me to have to bring Mr. Brown here to court after being neighbors for 30 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
I looked out my back door in my yard and I had this big gaping hole. I didn't know if lightning had struck it or what had happened. I walked across my yard, knock on Mr. Brown's door. Mr. Brown comes out and I asked him, "Did you know those were my bushes?" He said, "Yeah, I knew they were yours." So I was
what
like,
happened?
"Well, why did you cut down my bushes?" He said he cut down my bushes because he wanted to put a dumb-looking gate there, and he did not want to walk all the way around the other side of his house. So I'm standing there like, Mr. Brown came out and cut my bushes like he was Edward Scissorhands. They're all the way down to the ground. We've never, ever had any words or problems. Mr. Brown had also looked out for me at times. I had a beehive on the top of my house. He told me I had a beehive that I did not even realize was back there. And that's what puzzles me to why he would do something like this. This was my privacy between the two of us.
Okay, what's this a photo of?
This is the photo of where he actually cut it down to the ground.
So there was a bush there, and
it was two bushes there.
Okay, and that stump that I'm seeing on the ground, that's what's left of it?
That's what's left of it.
And there's like a little hole. Okay, let's see the next picture. Oh, now you can really see it. So there's a gap.
It's a gap.
And is that picture you looking out of your door into your backyard?
Absolutely.
Okay, and what's the white building behind
That's
the
Mr.
bushes?
Brown's house.
Okay.
And that's the gate that he replaced, that he needed to cut down my two bushes so he could walk around the other side of his house.
And I'm assuming you didn't have a discussion with him prior to
We
those
didn't have a discussion.
bushes?
He didn't ask for permission. I had no idea that this was going through his head of cutting down my bushes.
Well, Mr. Brown, why'd you do it?
Well, first, Your Honor, I take pride in being a good neighbor. I try to be the very best neighbor I can be.
Okay.
I have been trimming and cutting these bushes for 30 years without any restrictions or any complaints.
That's not true.
Have you ever cut them down completely, like what we
Yes,
see in
ma'am,
the
they
picture?
have been cut all the way down to the ground.
That's not true.
And so what happened after you cut down the bushes?
I was actually taking a nap, and I heard somebody out there ringing the doorbell. I thought a fire something was going on.
Why do you say that?
Because the way she was ringing the doorbell.
Okay.
My wife had gone to a Bible study. I came downstairs and Miss Armstrong was standing at the door. She didn't speak. She said, "You had the audacity to cut down my bush."
They belong to me.
All right. Can I tell you about How I try to replace these bushes?
Yes, I would like to hear about
Okay.
that because you said you actually replaced the bush. What did you do?
When Miss Armstrong came over there, she was almost totally out of control.
So she was really upset.
Yeah, she was really upset.
And did that surprise you?
That's true.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did surprise me. Because I have been taking care of these bushes for 30 years. So Miss Armstrong never did anything to those bushes. When Miss Armstrong came over and I saw she was so upset, I said, Priscilla, I didn't know you really cared that much about the bushes because you never did anything to the bushes.
That's not true.
Coming up, Judge Faith gets neighborly.
I told Priscilla, I said, what can I do to make this right? Because she knew they would grow back. All right.
When both me and you have turned to dust.
You've been neighbors for 30 years. You've been friends with his family. You were friends with her husband. I'm just sad to see that it has come to this over these bushes.
And later,
I feel that I don't owe that. If my dog did bite her, that I would pay
There's
her
no
bill.
if. Your dog definitely bit me.
I don't want to hear hypotheticals about what could have happened because
Yeah.
you were not there.
plaintiff Priscilla Armstrong says her neighbor destroyed her bushes. She is suing for the cost of the hedge and emotional damages. Defendant Amos Brown says he's been cutting the bushes for 30 years and there's never been a complaint. He's countersuing for unpaid landscaping work.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Why do these bushes seem to mean an awful lot to you? Why is that?
We've had birthday parties back there. My daughter got married in that backyard.
Is this your daughter? Why don't you step up? What's your name?
Stephanie Armstrong.
Okay.
My daughter got married in that backyard. We had baby showers. We had cookouts.
So these bushes had a lot of sentimental value
They had a
to
lot
you.
of sentimental
And is this a part of
value.
your emotional damages claim?
It's
Is
part
that
of
what
my
it is?
emotional damage.
Okay.
to
What do you
family.
have to add briefly?
I knew that it bothered my mom because when it happened, my mom called every day. And I was more so worried about her health. My mom has high blood pressure. I lost my father about a year ago. If Mr. Brown would have called and asked my mom and said, you know what, I can't get around my property. Is it okay if I cut down your bushes?
Yeah,
Okay,
I would-
Mr. Brown, go ahead and comment on your replacement of the bushes. What happened?
I told Priscilla, I said, what can I do to make this right? Because she knew they would grow back. All right.
When both me
Hold
and
on
you
a
had
second. Hold
turned
on a
to
second, Ms.
dust.
Armstrong. Let him finish. Go ahead.
No. She told me she didn't want to hear any of that. That's what she said. I went to several places to try to find the bush. I called her from each place. I said, now I'm out here at this nursery here. What kind of bush do I need to get? I don't know what to get. Well, that's your problem. Get whatever kind of bush you want to get. So she did not say what kind of bush to put there.
Okay, all right. And tell me about your counterclaim. You have a counterclaim. You're saying
Because I have been trimming those bushes for 30 years, I have been trimming and cutting those bushes and spraying
but you didn't
those
have
bushes.
an agreement in place with her that you would trim those bushes in exchange for her paying you for it, right?
No, ma'am, I did not. I did not have agreement with her.
Okay.
But
Go
she
ahead and
have-
tell me your counterclaim.
She have never complained about me cutting those bushes.
Go ahead and tell me about your why did you bring a
Well,
counterclaim?
when she decided to sue me for cutting the bush down and claim that they was her bushes, then I said, well, you know, she need to pay me for maintaining them.
But she didn't have an agreement in place to maintain the bushes with you. That was something you were doing voluntarily
Right.
on your own as
That
a
is
good
correct.
neighbor, right? You know, what's interesting about this case is I have people come in here all the time who encroach on other people's property and they have no respect for their neighbor's land. I just don't think that this was something, he didn't intentionally try to do something malicious. Although you should have gotten permission because these are her bushes and they are on her property, and I think you know that, and you said that in your answer. But I don't think that there was malicious intent here, and as you stand here today, you seem like a really nice man and that you really do try to be a good neighbor. And I think that you guys should work this out as neighbors. You've been neighbors for 30 years. You were friends. You've been friends with his family. You were friends with her husband. And I think that this is, I'm just sad to see
I am
that
too.
it has come to this over these bushes. I know based on everything you told me that this meant a lot to you, but I just think you should consider the fact that I really don't think that this was malicious. Most people wouldn't go out, it's just a misunderstanding. Most people wouldn't go out and spend their own money, almost $300 to replace the bushes if they really didn't have some type of good intent there. And I also you know, I don't want this to be something that really stresses you out. Your daughter talked about your health. You have to think about the fact that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. The bushes were cut down. You can't go back and undo that act by Mr. Brown, but going forward, how are you going to address this? Is this something that's going to really impact your life every single day, or are you going to try to work this out with your neighbor of 30 years? I really think you should try to do that, okay? Ms. Armstrong?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Okay, all right. For your counterclaim, you're not going to get anything for your counterclaim because there was not an agreement in place for you to do landscaping. And Ms. Armstrong, you agreed when Mr. Brown called you and he offered to replace the bush with another bush, you agreed and you said yes and okay to that. And he actually went out and spent money to replace the bush. I believe that the two of you came to an agreement about that bush. And so now you're suing for the bush to be replaced, but he already replaced it.
Your Honor,
you
may I
may
say
not
something?
like,
Please.
no, let me finish. You may not like the bush that he replaced it with, but you gave him the okay to go ahead and spend his money and replace the bush. So that's what you have now. So if you want to replace it on your own with another bush, that's on you. But as far as what he was obligated to do, you guys had a conversation and came to an agreement. You asked for $2,000 in emotional damage. I have not heard of the kind of severe emotional stress that warrants an emotional damage claim in this case. Cost of a new bush, $500. I can't award that to you because he's already replaced the bush with another bush. It may not be one that you like, but that was your agreement with him. So my verdict in this case is for the defendant, but you're getting 0 on your counterclaim. Have a good day, folks, and I hope you work it out. And by the way, make this up. Make this up.
Plaintiff Kim Spencer says her neighbor's dog attacked her. She's suing for unpaid hospital bills and pain and suffering. Defendant Emelini Sikonanaa says her neighbor is exaggerating her injuries for financial gain and is refusing to pay the bills.
Karen Spencer?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant Emelini Sikonanaa for $1,001 for injuries you sustained during a dog attack?
Correct.
And you say the defendant's dog bit you and you have hospital bills and vet bills?
Correct.
Okay. Tell me about what happened.
I go to take my dog for a walk. She's a little girl, she's only 36 pounds, and we go on the normal route we always go. We cross the street, and she stopped to pee a minute, and I'm just standing there. I had headphones on with music playing and stuff. And I look up, and all of a sudden I see this large dog barreling down the street, coming right towards me, and we were just standing still. It crosses the street and then jumps on my dog. My dog's trying to get away from the attack dog, and she's wrapping her leash around me, and I reached down just in the madness trying to get my dog away, and the defendant's dog bit my left hand. It was just puncture wounds, but I had 8 puncture wounds and tearing under my thumb here. My dog, thankfully, ended up being okay. She had a couple puncture wounds behind her neck. The ambulance came, the animal control came, police came, and the neighbors were all standing. It was a big commotion. Neighbors are all standing out, and one of the neighbors goes, "I know whose dog this is." So one of the neighbors was holding the dog, and the other neighbor went to her house to go say, "Your dog is loose and has bit someone."
Next on Judge Faith, Emelini claimed she tried to cover the costs.
I said, okay, well, let me have the bill and let me see. I heard nothing.
But Kim calls her out in court.
You agreed to pay the bills. I called you when the bills came in, and you'd returned none of my phone calls.
And Judge Faith sets them both straight.
There's one fact that's not in dispute here, and that's the fact that your dog got out.
Plaintiff Kim Spencer says her neighbor's dog attacked her, and now she wants the bills paid. Defendant Emelini Sikonanaa says her neighbor is exaggerating her injuries for financial gain.
Okay, what kind of dog do you
Your Honor,
have?
I have a bull mastiff, half bull mastiff, half lab.
I want to know how your dog got out.
Okay, I was taking out the trash, and in taking out the trash, I inadvertently left the door open.
Okay,
So
it was your fault.
Right.
All right, and you know that can't happen, right?
Right.
Because you
I
have a
brought
big
pictures to
dog,
show.
and apparently your dog bites people.
No,
I mean, you're
never...
fortunate. No, don't tell me no. It's never happened before. It happened this time, and it's one time too many.
But the neighbors also say that they're scared of the dog, and they hear the dog going up against the fence anytime anyone walks by. So I have pictures of my dog just to show
What's
you
your
how
dog's name?
Harley.
Okay, let's see Harley. You took Harley to the vet to get checked out, and he was okay, right?
I did.
That's good. I mean, because I have so many of these cases, and it's usually far worse.
I got the brunt of the injuries, thank goodness.
Okay, let's see the photos of your injuries.
This is a few days after it's been bandaged and Neosporin and everything like that.
Okay, but I see there's, so you puncture wounds on the hand
Yeah,
and on
the whole,
thumb.
like right here was all swollen with puncture wounds all over it. It was torn around the thumbnail, and then underneath here was pretty good gashes.
If my dog had bit her, Your Honor, I would have.
I'm sorry, were you there?
Yes. No, I was not there.
You didn't
when it
see
happened.
anything. Your dog
No,
got out
no.
because you left the gate open.
Yes.
And so you think that
I
she's
left the
making
door
up the
open.
fact that your dog ran down the street and bit her?
No, I'm not.
What reason would she do that?
Okay.
Why
well,
would she do that?
In the hysteria, because the dog is wrapping around her, like she says. It could have been while she was
You
trying
weren't
to
there,
get...
ma'am. So I don't want to hear hypotheticals about what could have happened because
Yeah.
you were not there. And your dog got loose. There's one fact that's not in dispute here, and that's the fact that your dog got out.
My dog was on a leash, your dog was not.
So what's your reason for not paying?
Okay, Your Honor, at the time...
I mean, the total here is, let me just be clear, the total here for the vet bills and the hospital bills are $916. What's your defense as to why you don't owe that?
Well, I feel that I don't owe that. If my dog did bite her, that I would pay
There's
her
no
bill.
if. Your dog definitely bit me, dude.
Okay, like I said, that I would pay the bill.
Okay, so why didn't
she
you?
called me 3 weeks later and says that the bill cost $500. Her emergency bill was $500, and her vet bill was $50. So then I said, okay, well, let me have the bill and let me see. I heard nothing until...
You never said, let me have the bill and let me see. You agreed to pay the bills. I called you when the bills came in, and you'd return none of my phone calls.
No.
Okay,
That's
so
how it
what's the issue? So,
She never showed me any bills.
okay, so
And then the price, $550 and $50, and then it turns out to be $1,000.
I never said $550.
So what do you think she's inflating the cost of
cost.
her emergency room? And
The bills are right
what
here.
purpose and reason? So do you want to see these bills today? Because
Well,
you're
I'm
going to
not
have to
making
pay
up
them. So
the amount
I
of
mean,
the
if you want to
bills.
see them in advance,
Well,
I'll
it would-
show them to you.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
I mean, these are two bills from a doctor's visit the same day that your dog got loose and bit her.
Right.
And the bill from the vet. So take a look at it.
When all the bills
and-
came in, and I called you multiple times with the amount of the bills, I would have been happy to accept a payment plan or just to be neighborly, like I thought we were being neighborly to begin with. So you chose this, not me.
So you have, ma'am, you have no evidence that this incident happened any other way than what the plaintiff has described as a result of your negligence in your dog getting out, because that is what it is. That can't happen. I have these cases all the time, and people suffer serious injuries from dog bites. People's dogs suffer serious injuries from dog bites from other people who don't know how to keep their dogs locked up in a secure location where they need to be, or on a leash, or whatever you need to do to stop your dog from biting someone else. And your excuse as to the bills being inflated, that's ridiculous. She has 2 bills from emergency room visits from the day she was bit by your dog and a $50 vet bill. So my judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. Judgment in this case, $916.69 plus court costs. Pay her the hospital bills.